All right, guys, I am back. We are here. Welcome to another episode of the Mom is in Control podcast, where it has nothing to do with being in control. It's not about controlling other people. It's about doing the work, figuring out what is it inside of me. What actions do I need to take? What strategies do I need to implement in my life? Where do I need to go? What leaps and jumps and courageous action do I need to take to feel in alignment from the inside out? So today I have another interview with you with Jen Riday, magical human being, magical woman. You can find her jenriday.com online, and we get into we start talking about her podcast and all of that fun stuff. And we talk a lot about meditation and finding that internal sense of peace within yourself. And before I jump into the interview, I want to talk quickly about, I want to let you know, not let you know, but I'm going to reread this beautiful poem, not really poem, but writing that Elizabeth Gilbert did. And she posted it on Facebook a while back. I think it was last year at this time. Not even last year at this time. It says April 12th, 2016. So if you just Google "not this" and Elizabeth Gilbert, it will pop up on Facebook, and then you can just click it and read it. But it's just beautiful. I could not have said it better than Elizabeth Gilbert, of course. She is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and many other books. But the magic of her words are just like, yes, yes, yes. And this is the contrast that I always see with so many women and mothers just, saying, not this, not this, not this. But what? Right? What do you want in your life? How do you want to feel? How do you want to show up? So I'm going to read this, but before I do that, I'm giving you an uber gentle reminder that today, Tuesday, November 28th at midnight Eastern Standard Time is the last day that you can apply for the Mom is in Control Mastery Program. Once you apply, you and I will get on the phone to make sure it's a right fit. This is a intense program where we're going to look at how you want to feel in all aspects of your life. Your marriage or partnership, if you have one, your parenting, your money, your time, your energy, who you want to feel as a human being, how you want to feel when you wake up in the morning, and how you want to feel when you go to bed at night, and everywhere in between. And through this process and coaching, I'm going to show you, guide you, give you the tools and the strategy, the community, and hold you accountable to becoming the person you so badly know you can become. So head on over to momisincontrol.com/MIIC, because we are taking it to the next level in 2018. And this beautiful piece by Elizabeth Gilbert just wraps it up, right? It's like, not this, not this. So I'm going to read this for you, and then we're going to jump into today's interview. So she says, "Dear ones, most of us at some point in our lives, unless we have done everything perfectly, which is nobody, will have to face a terrible moment in which we realize that we have somehow ended up in the wrong place, or at least in a very bad place. Maybe we'll have to admit that we are in the wrong job, or the wrong relationship with the wrong person around us, living in the wrong neighborhood, acting on the wrong behaviors, using the wrong substances, pretending to believe things that we no longer believe, pretending to be something we were never meant to be. This moment of realization is seldom fun. In fact, it's usually terrifying. I call this moment of realization, not this, because sometimes that's all you know, at such a moment. All you know is not this. Sometimes that's all you can know. All you know is that some deep life force within you is saying, not this, and it won't be silenced. Your body is saying not this, your heart is saying not this, your soul is saying not this, but your brain can't bring yourself to say not this, because that would cause a serious problem. And the problem is you don't have a plan B in place. This is the only life you have. This is the only job you have. This is the only spouse you have. This is the only house you have. Your brain says, it may not be great, but we can put up with it because there are no other options. You're not sure how you got here to this place of this, but you sure as hell don't know how to get out. So your brain says, we need to keep putting up with this because this is all we have. But still, beating like a quiet drum, your body and your heart and soul keep saying, not this, not this, not this. I think some of the bravest people I've ever met were the people who had the courage to say, not this, out loud, ever before they had alternative plan. People who have walked out of bad situations without knowing if there was ever a better situation on the horizon. People who have looked at the life they were in and said, I don't know what my life is supposed to be, but it's not this. And they just left. I think my friend who walked out on a marriage after less than a year and had to move back in with her mother, back into her childhood bedroom, and face the condemnation of the entire community while she slowly created a new life for herself. Everyone said, if he's not good enough for you, who will be? She didn't know. She didn't know anything about what her life would look like now. But it started with her saying, not this. Guys, there is like 5 other paragraphs. You need to Google it. Elizabeth Gilbert is a magical human being, and her words just hit the core of what I teach, which is your plan B. Creating and cultivating a different life. It's not as scary as your brain conceives it to be. So if this is something that you're interested in, I really look forward to reading your application and talking with you. Head on over to momisincontrol.com/MIIC. And all you got to do is fill out the application and we'll be in touch soon. All right, guys, let's dive into today's podcast interview. Welcome, everyone, to another interview. We have the beautiful, amazing Jen Riday, just like Friday. That's what she told me. So this interview series is all about sustainable motherhood, and I love talking to other human beings. I truly believe no one's an expert. We're experts in ourselves, who are just taking the courageous steps needed to jump outside the comfort zone and the social norm and talk about things that nobody else wants to talk about. So let's do a little intro. So Jen, I'm going to read your short bio. So Jen Riday is a women's happiness and productivity specialist living outside of Madison, Wisconsin, with her husband and 6 children. Holy shit. Ages 4 to 16. Jen helps women to confidently spend more time on what makes them truly happy. Yes, yes, yes. Without guilt and without perfectionism. And in her spare time, Jen enjoys hiking, yoga, and reading. So welcome.
Thanks for having me, Heather.
So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you because you interviewed me for your podcast, Healthy. Is it Happy Vibrant Women?
Vibrant Happy Women.
Okay, good. My dyslexia is kicking in, like backwards. It's a really great conversations that we had about just what does that even mean, right? We have children, we check, do all the things that we're supposed to do. And then so many people say, yep, you give birth to guilt. And then we don't know how to control it. We don't know how to feel in control of this guilt. So pulling back the curtains a little bit, what has gotten you to where you are today? Meaning, why are you such an advocate for helping women find what makes them happy?
Yeah, well, it really began at my burnout point when I had 5 kids at the time, and I had a miscarriage. Now, this is a crazy story. First of all, let me say I know what birth control is, and I still chose to have 6 kids. But I've had also 6 miscarriages, so kind of in between them all. Anyway, it's random. None of them went too long, but on this one miscarriage on Christmas Day, when I had 5 kids, we had to go to the hospital, which was an hour away from my parents who live in a very rural area. And my husband and I fought the entire way in the car. Like, who does that when someone's having a miscarriage? If you're the man, you would just shut up, right? And like, oh, whatever you want, honey. Well, I was just criticizing. And he was defensive and nervous about the whole thing. And we left our kids on Christmas Day with my parents. And the whole thing was super traumatic for me, just all of the emotions of everything happening on a holiday and when we're visiting my parents and how embarrassing. So we were silent the whole way home after dealing with the emergency room stuff. And I just kind of, that was the turning point where I'm like, I am done feeling frazzled and unhappy and doing everything for everybody else all the time. That's it. This is my life too. And I'm going to finally do something for myself. So I started going to yoga and I started reading tons of books and I got really organized on what it looks like to live a balanced life. And here I am today. I host the Vibrant Happy Women podcast. And I love that conversation of talking to women and saying, you know what? You have every right to put up a boundary right here and say, no, I'm not talking about this anymore, and shut the door in their face. And you can watch their jaw drop when they're like, I can do that to my kids, shut the door in their face. I'm like, heck yeah, you can. Because if you're feeling miserable and lousy, they're going to pick up on that energy. And you're an awesome mom for teaching them that boundary. So, yeah.
I was going to say, I love that you're talking about this because there is a lot of guilt that does come up when you do make that choice to say, enough is enough. Like, I don't, even if whether you're a newborn, a toddler, a teenager, a partner, a client, a friend, whoever it is, right? It's not so much that it's the other person's fault. It's how we've been treating ourselves and how we've been allowing other people to treat us. So when you say enough is enough, a lot of times when we start, I always use the analogy of like, we're handing back all their shit on a silver platter. It's like everything that you've been projecting onto me that I've been holding or allowing, kind of, being codependent. I'm just handing it back to you. And that's a lot for somebody to take back and go, I didn't even know I was doing this to you. So what do you see with women? What do you see as like the big barrier when someone says, yep, I've had that enough is enough, come to Jesus moment, and now I want to make those changes? What do you see as the biggest block for women?
I think it's that good mom syndrome where, I don't know, they're buying into this media idea of what it means to be a good mom and a good wife. And so it's that media presentation or portrayal is just giving, 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 giving. And I know you and I talked about this on my podcast when I interviewed you, but there's an ad going around for Crate and Barrel right now where Reese Witherspoon is starring in the ad, and it's cute, but she has elaborate Christmas decorations. And if that's the standard, you're going to be giving and giving and giving. So you don't see a lot of examples of good moms having boundaries on TV shows or in real life. That's maybe something you would hide because, oh my gosh, I shut the door in the face of my bratty teenager. I said, I'm not talking about this. You just don't see examples of that as much as we should.
Mm-hmm.
So the barrier, I would say the big one is media and lack of knowledge that it's actually okay and that good mom can actually mean strong boundaries where you feel amazing and just making that socially acceptable.
So I really resonate with your story of like after leaving the hospital saying, I'm done, right? I'm done. I've had my quota of shittiness in my life. I'm ready to turn things around. When you make that internal commitment to yourself, everything kind of shifts and changes because things change. Why do you think we need to get to a point as women to say, I'm done? Why can't we just come into the world and be like, it's okay to feel good?
That's a great question. Why do we all need to do that? Well, I think that there's kind of an awakening happening for women right now where we're all starting to grab onto our power, using that word that people don't like, but that we have this great power for good in the world. And look at a lot of the crappy stuff happening in politics and stuff is with men, no offense, but maybe it is time that we start valuing ourselves enough to stand in our place and shine and be radiant and show our kids what it looks like. Maybe it will influence the men around us. And that's kind of the big underlying reason for me.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful whether we see men or women or whoever you are shining in their light. And yes, power, right? It's just owning who you want to be and how you want to feel. Oftentimes I'm reflecting with my children and having these conversations with women about when you're around this person, how do you feel? Oh, I'm so angry. I hate, I feel so gross around their energy. When you're around this person, how do you feel? I feel like I can be myself. I feel safe. I feel non judged. I feel, well, what do you think the difference is between these two energies? This person
Mhm.
is out living their life, doing what makes them happy, not projecting their shit onto you because they're just like in their own trying to figure out who they are. And then this other person is constantly projecting. If we know how we feel around those people that make us feel good, why is it still difficult for us as men, women, children, whoever, to become that sparkle, to become that light? Why is there still resistance there?
Well, for me, I was in this place of, I mean, social pressure, but it may be some pressure also from a church congregation or other PTA moms. But I don't know why I was stuck, but I was baking 6 loaves of bread a week. Who even does that with 5 kids at the time? I mean, that's nuts. Throwing elaborate birthday parties because everyone else on social media is posting their cool birthday parties. If I'm a good mom, I'm going to do it too. And another one is, if you're a good parent, you have to go to Walt Disney World or Disneyland. I mean, seriously, if you haven't posted that selfie on Facebook, you're a crap mom. So social media is huge. Pinterest, thank goodness it's slowing down in its popularity as far as I can tell. But so I baked all this bread and then one day I realized though, after a really bad day, I sent the kids out the door, practically pushed them out the door, like, go, you're gonna miss the bus. And I thought, what is it I'm trying to teach them here? What is the point of what I'm doing? I had never analyzed it. And I realized none of this even makes any sense because what are they going to learn from me? They're going to learn to be grumpy and exhausted. What's my top goal? I want my kids to grow up and be well adjusted and happy. Do I want them to act like I'm acting? And when I realized that, then suddenly my number one goal was to be vibrant and happy. If you can't model it, and show them that energy, you talked about energy, then they're never going to get it themselves. And I didn't want my kids, especially my daughters, to grow up feeling the way I was. That's craziness. So when I realized I'm teaching them, that's when I could make that shift.
And okay, so I want to know the pull back the curtains because practicing what we preach, right? Because now you work with other women who are making similar, same or similar shifts in their lives. But it's a conscious decision to show up this way every day. If I live life by default, meaning just go with the flow and do as everybody else wants me to do, I could be very miserable very quickly.
Right.
Right? This isn't like a pill that I've taken and then all of a sudden life is so amazing, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what do you what are your words of wisdom with maybe someone has been on this path already and they're like, I know I want to be happy and vibrant and I'm making that shift. And there's still resistance that comes up of doing those things that I need to do to allow me to find that contentment and ease and flow in my life.
I say go to meditation. And I know meditation is growing in popularity, but every time I have resistance coming up all the time. Like I'll try to slip back into we need our house to be really clean mode, and that's so counterproductive. But to sit still and close my eyes and kind of get in touch with what I'm feeling. Maybe sometimes it's fear that my parents who are coming this weekend are going to judge my house. And then I'll be like, okay, just talk to yourself. Why are you feeling afraid? What are you really afraid of? And analyzing all those moments of resentment or fear or when you're trying to overachieve and get to the root of it. More often than not, the opposite of fear is love. You're just probably seeking some form of love or approval. I feel like it always comes back to that. So, meditation or a quiet moment just to find out what you feel and close your eyes and sit with it. That's
Yeah,
great.
so I love meditation. This has been the way I got here, but I had to teach my kids first because I was like, you need to meditate. Meanwhile, I was just projecting my own crap onto them, right? I'm like, oh, maybe I need to meditate. So meditation to everybody is very different.
Mhm,
Everyone's like, I can't do it. I can't
mhm.
get the thoughts out of my mind, all of the blah, blah, blah. What is it for you? Like, why do you love it so much?
I love that question because I want to tell people I'm completely self taught. And I feel like I'm a master of my own form of meditation. So you all can just do it. It involves just being still. So I like to call it a mountain moment. So we're like in the trees of our life. thick forest and you can't see anything because you're just like dishes, laundry, driving, kids, whatever. And you just can't see where you're going. But what would happen if we all just get out of the trees so we can see the forest? And I imagine we're on a mountain when we do it. So if you want the big picture view of your life and to see what you're trying to achieve, then you have to get out of those trees and have that mountain moment. So for me, it's just closing my eyes and asking myself questions. How am I feeling, first of all? What are my thoughts? Ooh, I have a lot of negative self talk right now. Um, who might need my help today? I'll kind of just send that thought out to God or the universe, whatever people believe, intuition. And sometimes I'll have thoughts come back. Oh, my daughter, Lorelai, who's 10, she probably needs my attention today. Okay, that's cool. I wouldn't have thought of it if I hadn't spent a quiet moment asking. Sometimes I'll do more elaborate meditations with chakras and stuff. But essentially, for beginners, just close your eyes and ask important questions. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? Who could I serve today? And that feels really good. Simple.
How long does this take you?
So I say 10 minutes, but I often sit there too long and the kids will be knocking on the door. So it's hard to tear myself away because it's so, cathartic and feels good to have that quiet time. 10
Mhm.
though, 10 minutes. 5, you can do 5.
Do you ever resist it?
No, I love it. I'm an introvert, so I think I feed on that quiet. I
Mhm.
want more of it. I could do it for 4 hours straight. But
I,
with with maybe journaling or other things I'm doing at the same time. Yeah.
yeah, I love the quiet. I love the space.
Mhm.
What I love about it is the uniqueness of, it's not that the thoughts ever go away. It's the awareness of it. I started, and I
Yes.
love how you talk about, you're a master of your own form of meditation, because,
Uh-huh.
they're like, my eyes are closed. Am I doing this right? I'm like, yeah, just observe, right? It's like you're
Yeah.
sitting, it's like you're watching this room, or you're in that forest and you're kind of like, okay, what's in the forest today? Oh God, there's a lot of self-judgment in the forest. There's a lot of this,
Yeah.
but beyond that, you hear the voice. And I truly believe in the power of intuition, tuition.
You have student loan debt.
Oh my God. Tuition. I love the power of tuition and debt. Intuition and connection, and how you can cultivate your life from that place. How do
Mhm.
you think? Okay, so let's talk about sustainable motherhood, because I truly believe this is a small army that is growing. It's a movement that's
Yeah.
happening. It's very individual. Sometimes you got to look under rocks. But I really wish that, the second I brought my first child home, I got this book that said, you got this. You're going to fuck up on a daily basis, and that's okay. But make sure that this journey is sustainable for you, and please don't kill yourself along the way.
Isn't that the truth? And everyone reads the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting. I
Yeah.
think, is that still popular? It says nothing about that
There's
anywhere
like a
or hardly
50-year
anywhere.
edition. It's ridiculous. Yeah. What do you expect when you're expecting? You want to vomit. Well, yes, but no one talks about the bigger cultural purpose of what's going on during parenthood.
Right. So ask me your question again, because now my thoughts are like, ooh, I could go here or there. So
Go
give me
wherever
some
you
more.
want, but I just want to talk about this, what it means to be sustainable. Like, what is sustainable motherhood to you?
For me, there are times when we have way too much going on. It's probably all the time now because our kids are 16 down to 4. Like last night, oh, well, this is recorded the day after Halloween,
Yeah.
and we had our 2 oldest, we had no idea where they were all night. They showed up around 11. So, okay, fine, on the school night, great. But we still had, with the other 4 kids and their little groups of friends, we were like totally stretched thin. Thank goodness some of their friends' parents took some of them, but it's just this constant juggle and driving. So if I don't take time to have quiet moments in that, I'll just start feeling like so mad, and I'll look at my husband and I'll be like, "Oh, you're such a jerk." Like, funny story. He came home a little early from the trick or treating and didn't clean up anything in the house. So I was out later, and then I had to come home and like the house is kind of a wreck. And I'm totally snapping on him because I hadn't created any space through meditation that day. But when I feel really good, it's kind of like almost tanking up on love, as kumbaya as that sounds. I just come out like, yeah, I'm feeling good. Like if you'd spend a day on the beach and you go out and find the kids, you wake them up, whatever, it's getting ready for school. Uh, they just don't get you as much. You're like, yeah, kumbaya. It really works. So sustainable mothering just has to involve whatever's refueling your cup. And we talk about it all the time, like self-care, but it's way more than mani-pedis. It's way more than girls' night out. It's what really refuels your spirit, whatever that is, and just doing it frequently, not always just long periods of time, but frequently. 10 minutes is powerful, kind of like fueling the tank on a car.
Yeah, I'm always talking about how, you don't go on a road trip with an empty gas tank and then get pissed off when you run out of gas, 20 minutes down the road.
Hmm.
Like it's common sense to go, oh, I need to put gas in the tank. But yet we get so angry at ourselves when we're like, why can't I continue? Why am I burnt out? Why is my body, my mind giving up on me? Well,
Yeah.
how the fuck have you been running on fumes for this many years, right? Like
Right.
you have an amazing engine inside of you. So what, so you talk about time management, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So tell me I'm huge on time management.
Okay.
And I had feedback from a client she wrote yesterday in my in our private group. She was talking about, because this was me, okay, a few years ago, resistant. Do not give me a planner. I do not want to be militant with my time. Like that feels like constriction. That is not freedom for this little rebel over here, right? So, but it's funny because it's like what you resist will persist and grow bigger. Jumping into it, going, oh my gosh, I feel like I have so much more time. I'm more present. And it's not about scheduling every second of my day. It's about feeling this essence and in control of my time. When she was talking about how she was craving connection with her son, and time management has given her that. But I'm curious your perspective on time management.
Well, I have something that's worked for me for years, and it's called the Week at a Glance. I created it in a Word doc at first, and it's just 7 days, Sunday through Saturday, and the little chunks of time, like the morning time is a row across the top, maybe right after lunch, after school. So I have kind of these periods of time. We have morning, lunch, after school, evening. We kind of have 4 or 5 consistent time chunks in our day. And I put on the appointments that have to be there and then block in bigger chunks of time for work or playing with the kids. But when you see it like this, you're like, holy crap, I'm spending 40 hours a week working. And look at these teeny little chunks where I'm spending time with the kids. It's almost nothing. Or this whole evening time is spent driving, driving, driving. That's not what we do, but for many moms it is. Um, and you're like, wow, where's the fun? Where's the happiness? And then we wonder why we feel burnt out. So I talk a lot about the wheel of happiness, and it has 6 areas. So body, mind, spirit and emotion, relationships, contribution, and then resources, time, money, and stuff. Well, most of us don't spend a lot of time on any of that: body, mind, spirit and emotion, relationships, and contribution, making a difference. We're stuck in the resources, time, money, and stuff. We're just everything that's scheduled. How are we going to buy our stuff, our food, and how are we going to manage our money because we don't want to be in debt? We're just stuck in this one area and we wonder why we feel out of balance. But when you think, gosh, you have to cover all the areas of the circle, and you can use a week at a glance or seeing your whole week at once and think, okay, how can I make this more balanced? I'm only going to work 20 hours a week, not 40. And we're going to cut out all of these evening activities. The kids get one evening activity maybe. How can you create more balance so you can feel more in control? So that's kind of my big picture view of how I do it.
I love that. And even having this conversation about less is more, I mean, until you start practicing it, you don't really feel it or understand. I mean, that concept is becoming popular in all aspects,
Yeah.
especially in self-help. But when you really start practicing it, it's a mind fuck, because your brain is going, every belief system that you have is going, no, you can't be relaxing right now. No, you can't be doing this. It needs to be harder. Like I know for me, when I'm reevaluating things and I have that physical calendar of this is how I want to feel.
Yeah.
This is how I want to feel: mind, body, soul, relationships, parenting, money, time, energy, all of that. Okay, I got that. I'm good. I've created it. And then when you're following through with it, it's like the residual crap comes up, right? And you're like, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't be sitting here right now meditating and journaling. And then it's just a habit. And once you do that, you're getting, new neural pathways in your brain. And then your brain is catching up with the process. So understanding the discomfort is, of course, going to be there when you're creating new habits. But this whole concept of like 40-hour work week is very interesting, because even corporations are starting to, especially with women, like they're starting to pick up on this. Like the greatest oh, the greatest quote I ever heard from someone was saying, I did not have children for the tax credit.
Yeah,
And
right.
I was like, yeah, like why are like, what is our big why do we want to be happy and vibrant? What is the bigger message? That when my children look back on their life, I don't want them to remember me making six loaves of bread and being very miserable.
It's
Right?
right. It's true. And like you mentioned, everyone has an energy, and you you think about values. So my parents' number one value, they were farmers in Iowa. They aren't anymore, but they still live on their farm. Number one value, they verbalized it often: hard work.
Yeah.
And now looking back, they'll never listen to this, so I can say it, but sometimes I felt like they didn't work smart, or we just never played. And so my one value growing up and being a mom was to spend time with my kids. Quality time, like, just 2 minutes of a deep, amazing hug feels so quality to me. I don't know why you have to add all this rush, 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 and go, 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 because that connection, kind of spirit to spirit during a hug or a cuddle with a book or sitting by the fireplace and playing Dutch Blitz, one of our favorite games, it just, like you said, it feels good. And if I'm feeling that, they're going to feel that. And I kind of think those feelings are like an inner GPS that guide us where we need to be going. And I know some of your listeners probably believe in God or higher power, intuition, the universe, but if you think there's a greater wisdom than yourself out there, then you would want to follow those feelings, because that's exactly how that stuff is communicated. So if you're feeling like crap, you're not on the right path. You need to shift your course like you would using your GPS and see where that takes you. And as you get happier, you're on the right track. And it's as simple as that.
I want to talk about that before we wrap things up, because that was like as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, the greater wisdom, right? Of you're not supposed to feel like crap.
Yep.
Everyone wants to find their purpose, and like the purpose of life is to find joy. Like that's it. And
Right.
yes, we're going to have contrast of, I don't want to do my taxes. I don't want to sit here and do the resistance, but understanding some of that is just you're minding your body doing the human stuff that it was designed to do. And once you get on the other side of that, that's where the freedom comes. But can you talk a little bit about that with the wisdom of higher power? So whatever that is for someone, right? God, universe, source, divine, enter your word of choice or your belief system of choice. But talking about like, we're asking, what is it? What is it I'm looking for? And it's right there all along. Why aren't we listening to it?
I don't know why we're listening, but I think a lot of people don't, why we're not listening. I mean, a lot of people don't know what it feels like. They're like, am I listening to my own thoughts, or is that intuition? Is that God? For me, maybe an explanation of what intuition feels like for me, and it seems to match up with others. You can use different words like alignment, or maybe religious people would say feeling spiritual. But when it's positive, warm, light, the feeling of gratitude, the feeling when you're having that moment when you're with your little 4-year-old having a cuddle by the fireplace. Those feelings, maybe when you're getting married, I don't know. There's just these times when you have that such a content, happy, peaceful, light feeling. That's alignment, and that's the wisdom you're talking about. And the contrast is fear, darkness, self-doubt, guilt, negativity, criticism. We know the opposite. So when you're feeling lots of that in your life, you're not in alignment. You've got to shift back. So following what feels good is the way to go. Doing what feels light and easy.
Yeah, I love this. And Yeah. And then just know that both will always be present sometimes. And then you'll have that
Right.
moment of gratitude and you're like, it's here. I'm going to enjoy it while it's here because it might escape me, but it will be back and I will come back to you. But yeah, I always say like the contrast is there for a reason. So just look at it as a symptom. It may be a hormonal thing. It may be like,
Right.
but just know that if it's your identity and your existence, there is another way to be.
Yeah, and I like how most self-help leaders, Tony Robbins especially, I know what his method is, but a lot of us don't realize we can shift back into that place of alignment fast
Yes.
simply by starting with maybe some movement, moving your body, deep breathing, and then gratitude. Three simple things that shift you right back where you need to be. And then if you have a decision to make, doing it from that place of alignment, it's going to be way more powerful. You know, so
And you may
yeah.
look crazy shifting yourself back.
Yeah, well, I have a rebounder right in the bedroom, and all our family, I think it's boosted our energy for everyone, our vitality and happiness because everyone's jumping on this thing except my husband. So it's fun. It
That's
helps.
awesome. And I think
Crazy.
when you look at the younger children, they're doing it all the time. My
Right.
couch is a rebounder.
Yeah, exactly. Throw in some good music, it can be shifted fast.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Jen, this has been amazing. I love chatting with women like you who are just all about finding the soul and how can we create a more sustainable lifestyle for ourselves and realizing that we can be all the things we desire to be and so much more. And this is actually giving back way more to our children than, making sure that we have fresh bread on the counter all the time, even
Exactly.
though even though that if that brings you so much joy, then do it. And if
Right.
it doesn't, let it go. Buy it from the people that it brings joy to because there's so much more love in it. So, what do you have coming up? Where can people get more of you? And yeah, let them know.
Yeah, follow me on my podcast, Vibrant Happy Women. Of course, you can search for it on iTunes. And then I also support women in finding balance on that wheel of happiness, body, mind, spirit, emotion, relationships, contribution, and their stuff in the Vibrant Happy Women Academy, which is at vibranthappywomenacademy.com.
Awesome. And is that like open year round? Do you have launch times?
It opens a couple times a year, and so there's a wait list they can find there. I don't know when this will air exactly, but on your podcast. But for those listening now, yeah, you can jump on the wait list. We'll be opening it in 2018 again.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. It has been a blast, and I'm excited to see where we connect in the future because there's definitely alignment here.
Right. I feel it too. Thank you, Heather. This has been fun.